Feldenkrais Method for Pain Reduction, a new awareness of your body's potential with Peggi Honig. How would you like to move more easily and reduce pain? Join us as we welcome Peggi Honig, a Guild certified assistant trainer and expert in the Feldenkrais Method of Somatic education. Peggi has taught awareness through movement for over 16 years, helping people integrate movement lessons to improve their overall well-being. Discover how the Feldenkrais method can enhance your relationship with your body. Learn practical techniques to improve your movement, reduce stress, and experience a deeper connection with your body. Welcome to the Wellness Driven Life Show, where you're about to go on a wellness-driven ride. Welcome to the Wellness Driven Life Show. Let me share a little bit about the incredible guest that we have with us today. Peggi Honig is a Guild certified assistant trainer and expert in the Feldenkrais method of somatic education. With over 16 years of experience, she helps people improve their daily lives through enhancing body awareness. She also incorporates modalities of somatic education, hypnotherapy, neuro-linguistic programming, Swedish and deep tissue integrated massage, cranial sacral lymph drainage, and positional release in her private practice and training programs. I am so pleased to help welcome to our stage today, Peggi Honig. Welcome.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
I hope that I got everything and I said it right, but if not, please inform us. You can do a better job than me. But we are so excited to have you here today and all of your expertise. I love how you blend so many wonderful things into your practice. So this is going to be a great conversation. And let's get started by sharing a little bit more about yourself so we can get to know you better.
Great. So let me just share that I am a very passionate person, and I'm more an A-type personality that's driven by my passions. So each one of my careers, which started with opera and went into culinary, that helped put me through my conservatory training, were passions. I had a focus in my life to be happy. So why not commit to something that you were passionate about? That would be my driver, and grow from there. So that's what I've been doing. As I transitioned through each of my careers, first it was with opera, second it was with culinary, that led me to really break down my body. We can only work so much, especially if you've come from a place of no pain, no gain. That's the problem. So how do we work more intelligently? I've been in this field, frankly, although my site had said 16 years, it's been well over 20 years. And I'm an assimilator. So I take from everything that I've learned. I learned what not to do, what's better to do through comparisons. So everything that I've been learning through my life, it enhances me. And then it helps integrate more options and possibilities to how to learn. We have our strong suits. We have where we're not so strong. We were talking about that earlier, about the computer dynamics and this new age of technology. I'm a little older, and so I wasn't raised that way, but I'm still learning. So I used to joke, I was in the back of the class. I'm not in the back of the class anymore, but I'm never going to be in the front of the class. It's okay. I just get my supports to help. So what I do is bring to others the experience that I've had. You can't have my experience. You can't have the thoughts that I think. You have your thoughts. But I know it's possible. And when we believe that something is possible, we can find ways there. The universe provides. We just don't shut it down. So I've learned how to share with others that if I can have this experience, even with technology where I'm not so skilled, then you can have your own experience. What do you focus on? So I've looked to many mentors. We chat before. I trained with Tony Robbins. I've done a lot with Deepak Chopra, Dr. Andrew Weil, Dr. Joel Furman. These are people that helped inform me, many others, Louise Hayes. There are just so many names, Martha Beck. There are other people that I can present their names, whether you're familiar with them or not. They were people that influenced me and I learned from, but I didn't get Svengali'd by anybody. I'm a learner. And so my idea is that what I'm doing now, which is in more being a dynamic learning system versus a template. Many of the things I trained in were templatic. They're done to you and there's merit to everything. But I tended to prefer awakening within me, that aha moment, because we are intuitive, but it is something that's gotten smothered through our culture of no pain, no gain, faster, push. We do too much of that. And any nervous system realizes there's a tipping point, but we just push through it. So it is a process of returning to where we started, the Feldenkrais Method, or somatics, returning to how we began. We began as infants. It even started in utero, where we were learning through our sensory apparatus. Once we were born, our sensory apparatus had to take over because we didn't have the skills yet, the knowledge brought into our nervous system to understand. So Dr. Feldenkrais realized when people were dealing with pain management and all these assaults and injuries, which I will speak about, life is a dance. And sometimes it trips us up and it's not fair. In fact, many times it's not fair. So how do we transition how we think about it and keep thinking of what is possible? You know, we can dream and people say, but if you can dream it, you can imagine it, you can create it. So we start in the Feldenkrais method, at least, with infancy, developmental movements. And we have to go slow so that we don't just tap into our hardwired patterns. We really want to pay attention not only what we're doing, but how. So it is a slower process. You're asking a person to get curious about themselves. What are their beliefs? So I learned from one that I listened to and read a lot about, Louise Hayes. I'm going to give credit there. And she'll often say, well, what are the thoughts you're having right now? And how does that make you feel? And if you paused for a moment and you said, well, that thought, is it positive? Is it negative? Or is it neutral? Whatever it is, and there's reasons for it, so don't find fault with it. If that thought were going to transition my energy to my future, would you want to reevaluate your thought? And then you have to feel, what does that thought do to my biology and my neurology? How does it depress it? Does it put me in a more sympathetic nervous system, which we need? Can I balance between a parasympathetic, that's the rest, digest, restore, to switch, dance between sympathetic, parasympathetic, because they're two sides of the coin, like sun, moon. They're not separate entities. They're always there. Are we living more in a sympathetic nervous system? That's the to-do, to take an action. Yeah, you want to be very potent there. Am I too in a sympathetic nervous system that I'm just so chilled, that I'm not really as engaged? Or can I find that balance, that dance? And we're all learning. So it's not about I got it, because you can't get it and hold on to it. The minute you do that, you're in a global contraction. So it's like any kid, or when you said, oh, I need to move my cat and I've got a black lap sitting over there you can't see. We have to play. Returning to that place of play as we did, if we were fortunate enough to have a happy enough, healthy enough early life, early beginning, and not everybody was. Or can we help bring that into a nervous system that was maybe troubled from the very get-go? So the awareness through movement lessons are one approach that so we have two approaches in Feldenkrais. One is the hands-on. And that was really compromised when the pandemic hit because we were live and in person and everything got shut down. So I had to learn, how do I go virtual? So that all of my other senses of sight, of listening, when you could be near or smelling or touching, every one of these sensory apparatuses, I could hone better, like the example of Helen Keller.
Yeah.
Helen Keller, the history, she was born healthy. And at about 4 months, she developed rheumatic fever that shut down her entire nervous system. It shut down all the sensory apparatus, most of it, not all. It didn't take touch, but it did take sight, hearing, and speech. She had smell and she had touch. And her family was fortunate enough that when she was 11, so she had 11 years of living in a void, but she was intelligent. They had enough curiosity and resources to bring in Annie Sullivan, if you've ever seen this story of Helen Keller. And we know now who she became. That's learning. Even though she didn't have these abilities, and the medical model would have said, no, it's done. No, you can learn. Our brain, the neurology, can take these neurons that are not firing, not being used, and use them in another area, which is what happened. So there are many stories that I could go on to, but this got my attention when, from my heart's passions from an operatic career, and it finally hit a tipping point when I went, what am I doing? I'm tired. I'm tired now of being a bohemian artist, always traveling and always struggling. So I said, it's time to reevaluate. And I fell into culinary because I helped put myself through conservatory that way. And it was also a gift, something I was very innate with. And I just fell into it. The universe provides. And you cannot work 80 to 100 hours a week for 16 years, 14 years, and not pay a hefty price. That's the no pain, no gain. And you've got a schedule, so you got to push through. And I did. And so then I was hurting, and it scared me because when you hurt, it's a global contraction. You don't feel potent. You don't feel alive. You don't feel rich. And so I was looking to every approach to fix me. That's what we want to do. We want to fix the problem. It needed learning. And so I did all of the modality work to help me, but it never really changed the problem. And then I had someone enlighten me and said, look, you've been trying all these other things. Why don't you try the Feldenkrais method? And I knew it. I knew of it intellectually because I was trained with Ericksonian hypnotherapy and master practitioner of NLP. So I went, sure, I know of it. They were born, Milton Erickson and Moshe were born the same year and died the same year, and they were colleagues. They had great respect for each other. One said one does for the mind, but the other does for the body. They do both. It's not just the mind or the body. They're integrated. That's why we say somatic, of the body, of the mind.
Yeah.
So I just said, okay, I'll try it. And fortunately, I found a very skilled trainer so that my first experience was going to be true. And I came away from that first experience and it was totally different because I was touched non-judgmentally in a way that honored who I was, what I could do, helped make that easier, which then took away unconsciously muscular work that I was doing that was impeding me doing other things. And all of a sudden something became freer. Didn't fix the problems, but I started to awaken because I'm very sensitive to this. Wow. I felt so much better. I breathed better. I had more focus. I had more energy. Didn't mean that when I went to leave and I was so excited and I was going too fast, oh, that glitch happened. It just made me go, stop, pause, find your verticality, breathe, shift your weight, slow down, and begin again. And 4 sessions, 1 week apart, I came back to the trainer and I said, I got to do this. I came home to my husband the first day and I said, all right, I'm going to go into debt. I have got to do this. There was that passion again. And it changed my whole life. I put my career on hold to reevaluate what I was going to do. And then I realized, and then I launched off and I started in modality work because I knew I need to know more about anatomy, pathology, kinesthesiology, all these other things that I loved. It was part of who I was, part of my calling. And my previous life, because I was assimilating all of these learning approaches, whether they were modalities or not. The Feldenkrais method is not a modality. We call it a dynamic learning system because we're learning. Therefore, we're not repeating a template over and over again. Every time we do a lesson, whether it's an awareness through movement where I'm guiding you or I'm giving you a hands-on, you're learning. Now, I speak as far as clientele. I have clients and I have students, and they're both wonderful. A student is someone who starts to wake up and goes, oh my God, I want more because I feel something. I can't keep it, but you can find it again. It's like a treasure hunt. And we're honing skills, just as I shared about Helen Keller. How do we learn how to hone new skills? Because the older hardwired ones will come right back with a vengeance, and they're not wrong. Every habit we developed in life was perfect when we developed it. Absolutely. Then we became too compulsive and obsessive in that one pattern, and we stopped comparing. So Feldenkrais, or somatics, is about making comparisons, thinking this to that. Now, there's a saying that Moshe used, and we refer to him as Moshe. He was a genius, but he was also a very complicated individual. He lived through 7 wars, and he had a lot of his own assaults and injuries of life that the medical model couldn't at that time fix, which made him get more curious. He was an autodidact, and he just didn't stop. He was brilliant there. And so he would say, 1 is a compulsion and an obsession, and we get stuck there. 2, it's a dilemma, this or that. And you better hope that this or that is acceptable because you're in a dilemma. You need a minimum of 3 choices, to start freedom. Then you build 4 or 5. So we always talk about game plans, strategies. If this one doesn't work, what do I do? How do I create another one? So you think about it, you ruminate on it, you dream about it, you play like we did as kids. And then I say to people, are you willing to become a kid again? You want to be a client? That's fine too. They don't have as much, I want to know this, I want to understand, just make me feel better. And I'll go, okay, feel better. Now you know it's possible. If you're curious how to find this pathway again, little bits at a time to build off of, I can help you. But if you're like, no, I'll just come back and see you when I feel I need the fix, by all means. I don't want to judge a person because we're all really doing the very best we know how.
Is it possible to never be a client of anything you do? I'm always just so curious. I feel like I'm more stuck in the student, not stuck. I appreciate my curiosity in life, but the way that you describe that, oh my goodness. Well, if my audience knows me well, I have absolutely fallen in love with you, Peggi, because I just, if I can say that,
Sure.
there are so many things that you're sharing that are so in alignment, so wonderful, and makes sense to me.
Yeah.
I love the experience aspect, and it is said right, and we'll bring it back on the screen for those watching, and for those of you listening, the PeggiExperience.com, check out her website and all she does. And it's just, it's wonderful how you bring so many things. It's that learning, it's the dabbling in kind of everything and seeing what works. And I would like for you to highlight just maybe a little bit more, but the 3 that you had mentioned, I'm curious more about that. It's not the this or that, it's the 3. Could you highlight that just a tad bit more for me specifically?
Are you talking about my careers? Is that
no, the 3 decisions
for freedom?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So 1 is a compulsion, which means, as I said before, our habits that wired in, they're not wrong. When they wired in, they were perfect. But we keep using them compulsively so that we're not comparing. Was that really more optimal, or did that impede my ability to move freer or breathe freer? Breathing is the first indication of something is not fluid. All right. That emergency brake I talk about where we push. Well, you got to slow down to feel, there was a little glitch there. 2 is a dilemma, this or that. And I'm not going to speak, I'm going to speak in a more benign way. I went to a horseback riding camp when I was a little kid, and they had an ice cream shack, 2 flavors. I like ice cream, and I love chocolate, and I love gooey chocolate and caramel and that kind of stuff. Yeah, I like coffee, I like blackberry, but they had strawberry vanilla. And I was like, I don't know. Oh, well, we have mint chocolate chip. I don't like mint. So it was a dilemma. Was I going to have the ice cream? Was it okay? Or, all right, I'm a kid, I'll get the ice cream. When you all of a sudden have 3, oh, think of the Neapolitan. They say vanilla, chocolate, and strawberry. Chocolate, I'm very happy. If 2 had been chocolate and vanilla, I would have been very happy. So the minute you can have 3, begin with 3. Think of Baskin Robbins, how they made a huge career. It was 52 flavors, right? I think it was Simon and Garfunkel, or I'm maybe forgetting who, they sang about how many channels and there's nothing to watch. Or maybe I got the artists wrong, right? So you want choice. The more choice you have, it can be overwhelming. So it doesn't have to be, you go in and the restaurant is so big, I can't even decide. Then I say, what was the first thing you were thinking you wanted to eat? Go with that. Mm-hmm. Unless they can really convince you of something else. Something innately, intuitively was saying, oh, I'm longing for that. I desire that flavor, that taste. So you got to listen to those voices within us that they're intuitive, they are quiet, I say subtle and significant. Mm-hmm. When you can start honoring that inner voice, years ago, so now I'm traipsing into other things, but it's the 3, it's the trio again. There were books that I was reading, many books, because there was a period of my time I loved the fiction, and then I went, no, I don't have time to waste with that. I want to drink in all this other knowledge. And so I was reading about, we don't have one brain, we actually have 3. And what makes a brain is the ability for it to produce hormones, neurotransmitters, and neuroreceptors. So we know of the brain in our skull. That took time to really develop. We had to have all the sensory apparatus experience that it could begin to recognize and bring it into our neocortex. But we started in the lower brain, where it was through movement. So in Feldenkrais, we take you back into movement. Then we have to think about what is easier for us to recognize. Don't go where it's harder. Start where it's easier. So I always want to think, where is, if I'm working with a client or anybody, where is it easier my way in? Because there's less resistance. In fact, that's what we're doing. I become an observer. I observe. And now that we're live again, I was able to go live again May 2021, and started working live. You open up a whole nother arena where your sensory apparatus includes smell, what you see, what you hear. Some of those were not present in virtual work, which I still do. But then I realized I really have a skill in virtually what I see, the subtleties. And I remember one of my dear friends, mentors, said to me, oh my God, Peggy, you see it. I have to put my hands to feel it. It's just a gift. So we have to recognize what are our innate gifts, skills, build them even stronger, and then add in those that are not as strong. Don't be scared. Just baby steps, little steps at a time.
You have such a vast amount of experience, and I appreciate that the most because you have gathered so much experience, right? Yes. And so we'll move into our first commercial, and when we get back, Peggi, I would love to highlight certain things just a little bit more. You have so much brilliance, and I appreciate you here. Stay tuned.
Thanks.
Are you ready to take control of your ride to wellness? Rev up with Driven Living. Visit www.drivenliving.com and buckle up for a journey. Get exclusive access to our Wellness Driven Life Show guest portal, where you can dive deep into the minds of our esteemed guests. Sign up for our newsletter and get insider scoops on these distinguished personalities. It's like having a backstage pass to their life-changing wisdom. But that's not all. You'll also receive a free hug. You heard me right, a free hug. An enlightening ebook from the Driven Living team. Discover the science-backed benefits of hugging yourself. It's a fill-up for your wellness tank. Because at Driven Living, we believe in fueling your journey to wellness, both physically and psychologically. So what are you waiting for? Visit www.drivenliving.com today. Welcome back, everyone. Here with the incredible Peggi Honig. And I love the discussions that we're having, especially on going slower, looking within. It's as if we apply it in life and everything that we do, it makes such a massive difference. It's like my husband always said, slow is smooth and smooth is fast. And so when we start incorporating that in everything we do, becoming the observer, just like you mentioned, Peggy, it certainly has an effect. And I love that the mind and the body are all connected, right? And so having all of those in the understanding, something that I believe that going slower, really being the observer, it has to do with, again, everything with our safety, with so for instance, if you're doing too much, right? Or you're in a profession where you're utilizing your body physically to extremes, right? If you're not going a little bit slower, being more intentional about your movements, an injury can happen like that.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't want that to happen. And so this is part of that I'm not going to say it right, Feldenkrais method. There we go. Spit that out. How many times did it take you you probably had it right on the first time, right?
I did, because I spoke different languages. So it's a little easier to me, but it's not easy for everybody. And there are other things I don't remember, and I ask, would you please reiterate that or repeat it? Because I'm not catching it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's play on that a little bit more. Just the smoothness of gracefully moving throughout life. Is that something that you primarily teach people?
Well, you start there. And the comment you said your husband made was perfect, because in the beginning, you have to slow it down to notice not only what you're doing, but how, and how you're breathing. Is your breathing harmonious so it doesn't interfere? The greatest athletes, the greatest performers, whatever, you're honing your skills continually. It's not like good enough. I was listening to an interview with Yo-Yo Ma, and he mentioned his process. And I'm not going to go into that right now, but it's the learning. So can I give you an experience?
I would love an experience.
Okay, good.
Yes.
So now you're going to go slow. And I want to use from your commercial about the hugging, because it's perfect. So now do this. Just sit comfortably, maybe back away a little bit if you feel you're too front and center. And now, without doing your best, just turn and look to one side. And you're in a wheelie chair, so it moved with you, but that's fine. Turn and come back.
I'm standing, actually.
Oh, okay, good. Okay, so you moved all of you. Come back to neutral. And now turn and go to look to the other side. Was one side easier than the other?
Yes.
Which one?
The right.
And yet you started with the left.
I did.
Now do this.
Get the hard things over first.
Well, no, that was a reference move. Now, bring your arms forward and place one arm underneath one armpit. So you're holding the outside edge of your shoulder blade. Put your thumb with the four fingers. That's it. And really, as comfortable as you can, get underneath there. So you feel that's the outside of my shoulder blade. There you go. Now take your other arm and take it to the top of the other shoulder. And really hug. Hold those shoulder blades. Now, use your right hand ever so gently to pull your left shoulder blade to turn you to the right. As you exhale.
Okay.
So you're using your right hand and you turn yourself. Then you inhale, you come back to neutral. Now use your left hand pulling on your right shoulder blade. No. Keep the order.
I think I had it right. Okay.
Now keep the order. Now use your left hand on your right shoulder blade and rotate yourself as you exhale to the left. And come back. Inhale to come back. All right, now, the next time you're going to alternate this. You pull with your right hand, thumb with the four fingers. So you don't want any oppositional movement of the thumb with the four fingers. So you're really holding. Keep the same order. No, keep the same order that you started with.
Oh, keep the same order. Okay.
Just get the thumb. That's it. All right. Now, slowly, when you go and you're going to use your right hand on the left shoulder blade to rotate you to the right, take your eyes to the left. You're still rotating to the right, but your eyes are looking to the left. You got to go slow, don't you?
Oh, I do, because my left hand is on my shoulder.
But it's your right hand. I'm asking you to pull your left shoulder blade to the right as you
Oh, okay.
look to the left.
All right.
See how much
So
slow? Now look to the left. Look to the left. That's
and pull
it.
through. There we go.
Beautiful. Now inhale, come back to the middle. Pause. When you're ready to exhale again, now use your left hand on your right shoulder blade to rotate you to the left, but you're going to take your head and eyes to the right. That's it. Do that pattern of oppositional movement of your head and eyes again. You come back as you inhale to the neutral. Now you pull with your right hand on the left shoulder blade to rotate to the right, but your head and eyes go to the left. That's it. Inhale to come back to the neutral. Exhale, use your left hand to pull on your right shoulder blade to rotate to the left, but take your head and eyes to the right. Inhale, come back to neutral. Now, don't have your head and eyes go in opposition. Have your head and eyes follow. Still use your right hand on your left shoulder blade to rotate to the right, but everything goes to the right.
Okay, going to the right. And everything goes to the right?
Everything goes to the right. Come back. Now go ahead and use your left hand pulling on your right shoulder blade, and everything goes and looks and rotates to the left. Now, come back, move your arms, lengthen them, relax, and go ahead and turn yourself around one side and then the other, and just keep spiraling and see if you get any more degrees of rotation with ease, elongating. Visually, I see you got more degrees of rotation.
Yeah.
Now,
definitely
yourself
feel a lot less.
Yes, hugging yourself this way versus this way. Can you feel you had more of your structure, your entire, we call this whole area my shoulder girdle. So I was hugging myself, which was compressing the front of my lungs, my chest, widening the back of my lungs. And I'm like, oh, hugging. That's how we hug somebody when we love them. Oh, I love you, right?
Yes.
So maybe you'll have another option of how you hug yourself now.
Oh, I love it.
So I
Thank
take
you.
with what I see. I use what I witness versus, oh, I could give you another lesson to play with to increase rotation.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Being very aware of how people are moving, so you know exactly what to work with, what to tweak, where their ailments are.
Mm-hmm. And then this is what happens. A client will say to me, this hurts and that hurts, the diagonal. You know, their right shoulder is always aching them. Why? Because they're constantly here in that protracted flexion pattern with the head tilted down. And here's the diagonal onto their left hip, triggering their sciatica. Really, I'm published in sciatica. I did some research, case studies in 2005, and I was published by international and national locations, medias, EPA. So the thing is, we learn and we want to add in more options and possibilities. But in order to learn something, we have to slow the process down so that we're really paying attention to not only what we're doing, but how, because I'm starting to bring in the idea of how do you breathe. If you drive, you put your foot on the gas pedal, which burns fuel and moves you. Why would you not do that? An exhalation. Think of all, I love sports. I'm a big fitness buff. So think about you hear from the tennis players, you hear the exhalation, it's your fuel. And then it brings in the next inhalation. So I want to focus on how we breathe, because too often a person is holding their breath. And when they go to lie down on the table, I say, did you hold your breath? And they go, probably. They were. Because I've witnessed it. I don't find fault with it. I giggle with it. I go, now next time you go to lie down, did you fall? Was it collapse? Ow. Or could you find where your limbs facilitate a graceful, fluid transition? one easy, beautiful movement instead of multiple ways of disorganizing yourself. The timing of your coordination means either you are organized or disorganized. So we play with that. Yeah.
Peggy, I'm curious, how does your experience with NLP and hypnotherapy play a role in your overall approach with everything and everyone?
April, that's a perfect question. There are many Feldenkrais practitioners that are skilled in hypnotherapy or more or less NLP. Why? So through those learning processes, I started to recognize when I see a person, I want to notice everything about them. I can look at their skin coloring, their breathing, a smell that is indicating something is off in maybe their GI tract, their digestion, or something is stagnated in the system. I don't judge it, but it's information I can work with, because if I can help free one little bit, exponentially it spreads throughout the entire system. So I'm learning from honing these skills on observation. You can, there's skills that you learn. There are strategies that you can integrate. So with the NLP, that really helped me start to recognize these subtleties, the hypnotherapy, all of these subtleties. Then I also started to notice in other modality work, when it was more aggressive, I would contract. I'd pull away from, whether it was chiropractic, and because I explored things, I wanted to know what's out there. And I felt that if something was being done to me too aggressive, automatically I pulled away. Even then they say relax, and I'm saying to myself, relax, relax, I'm safe. My nervous system did not feel safe. It felt imposed upon. I'm going to enter this one little thing in real quick, because this is what Moshe Feldenkrais learned. He was a big martial artist. And he recognized when people were under attack, the first thing that they do is to flex and pull away. So instead of trying to change that hardwired neurological reaction that we do have, he worked with it. He saw when you pull away, and you need to honor that, then you can know that you're pulling away. You can move forward, because that was your load, in a sense, to unload. And so that was a lot of his martial arts, how he knew how to take a knife away and from an aggressor and multiple aggressors. Because when Jigoro Kano met him, he'd already written a book. And he said, bring this guy to me. I need to see what he can do. And what he did was he started to send, like if you were watching a Peter Sellers movie, he started to send his black belt dans, first dan, second dan, third dan, all the way up at Moshe, one after the other. And Moshe, one after the other, got the knife away from them, threw them. And that's when he said, I will train you to be a high-level black belt that will train in the dojos in Paris, because I need a Caucasian to work with other people. They cannot understand the Japanese senseis. And that's how you'll make your money, because he couldn't make his money as the Curie's assistant at the Sorbonne in nuclear fusion and radar, because he was their assistant. He was an intern. So he was able to finance his career, his living, send back to his family, get them to emigrate over from White Russia. It was amazing, because he never said, I can't. He said, there's got to be an option. There's got to be a possibility. I don't know what it is. But if I keep focusing on what I want, the how will start to show itself. And that's what I tell people. You have to catch what, like I said before from Louise Hayes, what is the thought you're having? If it's negative, be there in that moment, because you're having it. Don't run away from it. Recognize how it makes you feel. It does everything to your neurology and biology. Then decide, is it really positive? Because sometimes overly positive, which is great, can also put us in a very highly sympathetic nervous system that can overkill a nervous system. How do we start to find balance so that we can always bring it back to neutral and then go? And that's what the greatest athletes or performers or anybody of anything that is really a maven of what they do, a high level. And I learned from many others that said, you either do something for 10 years consistently to become a maven, highly skilled, mastery, or you work 10,000 hours. I've been working 22 years at this. I'm masterful now, but I don't go, I'm a master and I'm done. I'm just getting more curious and saying, this eluded me. What did I miss? How can I hone my skills, even refine them more like Helen Keller? In the story, and I'll briefly share this, she had gone to Israel. Moshe had worked with David Ben-Gurion, who was the prime minister of Israel, who had been in severe back pain since a kid. And everybody tried to help him, and he was in back pain. And he finally, when he was 70, because Margaret Mead said, you got to go see this guy, he started to work with him. And he said to Moshe, well, I want you to get rid of my back pain. And he said, you've tried to do that your whole life. What is it you really want? If you could revisit it or close to it. And he stopped, and Moshe kept pushing him. And he went, when I was a kid, I used to do headstands on the beach. He said, now I can help you. Now I can help you. Now I have an objective that we can move towards. And he never said, I'm going to make you stand on your head, because other people said he's going to kill you. And Moshe would say to him, well, if I kill you, what happened to my life? You're dead and you're out of your pain, but what happens to my life? He said, so I will never make you do anything, but I'll facilitate your learning. And 2 years of working 1 hour every day they were together in Israel, people would start to recognize Ben-Gurion was out in Tel Aviv swimming about 2 o'clock. Then he'd come back and he'd start getting on the sand and trying his headstands. And they have pictures of it. It took 2 years. And he's perfect skeletal support. He didn't have his back pain anymore because he found skeletal support. At 70 and 72, he was able to redo that headstand because he wanted to, not because anybody was forcing him. So we have a saying, you make the impossible possible. The possible doesn't mean I'm pushing into resistance and I forced it, because you won't want to do it again. You'll hurt yourself. Right. Then you can make the possible easy. Oh, I made it easier. Do you want to make it pleasurable? Oh, make it pleasant. And if you so choose, you can make it elegant. And you get to choose where on that spectrum you want to go. So,
yeah, that makes a lot of sense of how those things like hypnotherapy, NLP play a role, because it is in how we perceive things and how we begin to shift things continuously, right? It's a never-ending process until it's automatic. But until it's automatic, it's that working towards it on reshifting the thought patterns. And I really enjoy the part of don't dismiss something because that's a resistance, or that's there's too much push and pull in that regard, instead of just feeling into it, recognizing it, seeing if there's anything deeper, such as I used to do handstands on the beach as a kid. And so thank you so much, Peggy, for sharing your incredible wisdom. My gosh, you have so much. I think we could continue talking all day because so I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Is there anything else you want to share with our audience today?
Look, I offer free consults. I have free awareness through movement lessons on my YouTube channel. All you have to do is be curious. If you're not in an area and you want live, reach out. I will help find someone of caliber, skilled, so you can have a quality experience instead of saying, oh, I tried that, I don't like it. Because it's also a relationship. It's not a onesie fix me. You're creating a relationship with someone, there's respect, and you develop like you work with a coach, a mentor. So I guide you, I help you, but I honor you. You're always in the driver's seat. So if you're curious, you want more information, you want to have an experience, get an experience. And that's why I say the Peggi experience. You can't have my experience, but you can have your experience. I know that's possible if you're curious. So I'm at thepeggiexperience.com. You can write me at Peggi, P-E-G-G-I, at thepeggiexperience.com. And you can contact me at 240-498-5354. I'm also on WhatsApp, because I work with people internationally now. So just reach out and let me know that you met me from the Wellness Driven Life Show with April Chavez. And get an experience. Like I gave you a little bit of an experience just on the hugging and rotating, and how with ease you increased your very nice ability to rotate. We could even play more and more. So it's endless, the ability to play.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you. And to the audience, it is also in the description below. So click on those links, visit her site, and see what all Peggi is doing. Peggi, again, thank you so much for being an incredible guest here
Thank
on
you. Yes.
the Wellness Driven Life Show.
It's
My
been lovely.
pleasure.
Thank you.
And to our audience, thank you so much. Because without you, the show wouldn't be possible. So goodbye for now, and we will see you next time.